After spending 6 months restoring my late father's antique desk as a graduation gift for my stepson, I walked into the workshop and caught him live streaming. "Look at this trash my mom's husband thinks is cool." He cracked the drawer, laughed with his friends. My wife stood behind him, smirking. "You really thought this would make him respect you?" I just smiled. This morning, my phone was flooded. When I proposed to Karen, I honestly thought I was turning a corner in my life. My name is Mason. I'm 45 years old, and I live just outside of Lexington, Kentucky, in the same small town where I grew up. 5 years ago, I lost my wife to a sudden aneurysm. One moment she was next to me, laughing at some old rerun, and the next I was riding in an ambulance behind her. She never woke up. After that, I buried myself in work, restoring antique furniture in my late father's old barn, the place where he taught me the craft. Grief didn't come in waves for me. It came like a ceiling collapse. Sudden. Total. And all I could do was keep my hands busy and my head down. Then, somehow, I met Karen. She was everything I wasn't: bubbly, sharp-dressed, full of life. She ran marketing for a regional clothing chain and had a confidence that could cut glass. We met at a friend's backyard wedding. She laughed at something I said that wasn't funny, and that's how it started. Karen had a son, Tyler, 17 at the time. Sharp jawline, even sharper tongue. From the moment we met, he looked at me like something under his shoe. At dinner, when Karen first introduced us, he squinted at me and said, "So you're the barn guy." That name stuck. The barn guy. He said it with a smirk, like the idea of someone working with their hands for a living was a joke. I tried not to let it bother me. I'd been a teenager once, full of fire and eye rolls. I thought maybe, just maybe, with time, we'd find common ground. I started with small things. I gave him a vintage Cubs pennant I found at a flea market. He barely looked up from his phone. I invited him to a UK basketball game, just the two of us. He said, "I'll pass." I offered to teach him woodworking, he told me. I don't need to learn how to make sticks into furniture. Karen always brushed it off with a smile and a sip of wine. "He's just a teen, Mason," she'd say. Or worse, "You're overcompensating." Overcompensating. Like trying to build a bridge to someone who hated you was a sin. Still, I didn't push. I told myself grief takes shape in strange ways. Tyler had lost his dad too, years ago. Maybe this was just the shell he wore to stay upright. But it wore on me. Every passive-aggressive sigh when I walked into the room. Every meal where I asked him how his day went and got a grunt in response. Every time he rolled his eyes when Karen kissed me on the cheek. And every time I brought it up to her, she waved it off like I was imagining things. "You take everything so seriously," she said once. "Tyler will come around." But he didn't. 3 months into the marriage, I built him a custom set of shelves for his records. Solid walnut, oil finish, dovetail joints. I left them outside his room with a note that said, "Heard you were running out of space. Thought these might help." The next day, I found them shut behind the garage, waterlogged from the sprinklers. The note was still inside, unread. Karen's response? Maybe you didn't see them. And that was it. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just went back to the barn, turned up the radio, and sanded another tabletop until the grain glowed like fire. Because that's what I did. I fixed broken things. But I was starting to wonder if this one couldn't be fixed. It was Karen's idea, actually. We were having dinner one night, just the two of us, candlelit, roast chicken going cold on the table while she scrolled through emails on her phone. Tyler had skipped out again, said he was meeting friends to work on a group project, which we both knew meant fast food and video games. Between bites, Karen sighed and said, "You know what he needs? A project. Something to give him direction before college." I don't know what made me say it. Maybe the half glass of wine. Maybe the quiet ache in my chest that hadn't let up since the day I met her son. "I could help him restore the old roll top," I said. "The desk my dad started before he passed. It's a beautiful piece, late 19th century, tiger oak, quarter sawn. Could be a real bonding project." Karen lit up like I'd offered her a diamond bracelet. She actually reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "That is perfect," she said. "Mason, that could finally make Tyler see your heart." And I wanted that. God help me, I wanted that more than anything. So I started the next day. The roll-top desk had been sitting half-assembled in the corner of the workshop since before my father's stroke. He'd roughed out the shell, labeled every joint with his usual pencil code. I'd kept it covered under an old canvas sheet like a gravestone I wasn't ready to visit. It took me 6 months. Evenings, weekends, sometimes after midnight with nothing but a shop lamp and the smell of varnish to keep me company. I disassembled and reassembled every part. Replaced the runners. Carved new drawer pulls from a piece of black walnut I'd been saving. I even designed a hidden drawer beneath the writing surface, something just for Tyler. Inside it, I inlaid a small brass plaque. It read, "For Tyler, may you build something that lasts." The day I pressed the plaque into place, I actually choked up. That never happens to me. But something about it, the words, the weight of the desk, my father's ghost at my shoulder, I don't know. I felt proud. Hopeful. Tyler never once stepped foot into the barn while I worked on it. Not once. Every time I mentioned it, "Hey, if you've got a minute, I could use a hand lining the drawers," he waved me off. Said he was busy. Said it was boring. Said, "Is this like your thing or my thing?" Karen told me not to worry. "He'll come around when he sees it," she said. Boys his age don't know how to show appreciation yet. So I kept going. Because I wanted to believe that. I wanted to believe that if I just finished this one thing, if I just gave him something that mattered, maybe he'd see me, not the barn guy, not his mom's husband, but a man who cared enough to build something just for him. When the desk was done, I kept it hidden under a linen drop cloth in the corner of the workshop. The brass plaque polished to a shine, the timbre roll smooth as silk. Everything perfect. Ready. I even thought about recording his reaction. That's how foolishly hopeful I was. I imagined him running his fingers along the wood, opening the secret drawer, reading the plaque, and just getting it. 6 months of heart went into that desk. And not for glory or thanks. Just for a shot, one tiny chance at connection. Karen smiled when I told her it was ready. She hugged me and said, "This could be the start of something real between you two." And I believed her. That was my mistake. The night before Tyler's graduation, I came home early to set everything up. I had just finished wiping down the desk, rubbing a final coat of lemon oil into the surface until it shone like honey. The brass plaque caught the light, and I ran my thumb over the engraving one last time. My plan was simple. I'd wheel the desk into the living room tomorrow morning, after the ceremony, when the house was quiet. I even had a little note written out to go with it. But as I pulled into the driveway that night, something felt off. Karen's car was there, parked crooked. The lights in the barn were on. I hadn't left them that way. The door to the workshop was cracked open, just a few inches, but enough for the breeze to carry voices out into the yard. I couldn't make out the words at first. Just laughter. Loud, careless, familiar laughter. Then I heard Tyler's voice. "Check this out, guys. This is what my mom's husband has been working on for, like, half a year." Another laugh, then the sound of a camera shutter. "This is supposed to be my big graduation gift. A junk desk for a junk future." He was live streaming. I stepped closer, not sure what the hell I was walking into. Through the door, I saw Tyler standing next to the desk, phone angled toward his smug little face as he narrated. "Look at this thing. Smells like sawdust and desperation. He actually thinks I'm going to use this? Like I'm going to be writing checks and changing the world from a barn-built antique." He yanked open the drawers, rifling through them carelessly. When he got to the hidden one, he paused, pulled it out, and read the plaque out loud in a mocking tone. "For Tyler, may you build something that lasts," he said, then looked straight into the camera. Cringe, right? Laughter from the stream. More comments flying across the screen. I didn't catch the words, but I saw the flashing hearts and laughing emojis. Then he kicked the drawer shut hard. I heard the wood crack. And if that wasn't enough, he grabbed a Sharpie from the table, leaned underneath the roll top, and scribbled something on the underside. "Try harder," he said with a grin. There. That's the kind of wisdom I want from my furniture. I should have stopped him. I should have burst in and said something. Anything. But I didn't move. Because a moment later, Karen walked into frame. She was holding a glass of wine, barefoot, grinning. She leaned into Tyler and said, loud enough for the mic to catch, "You actually thought this would make him care?" My heart thudded in my chest. Tyler cracked up. "He's been sanding this thing for months like it's some kind of magic totem. Can't wait to see his face tomorrow when I forget to say thank you." Karen didn't look sorry. She didn't even look uncomfortable. She looked entertained. And that's when I knew, this wasn't just a teen lashing out. This was both of them. This was planned. I stood there like a fool, hands trembling, staring at the two people I had tried so hard to believe in. I didn't walk in. I didn't yell. I turned around, closed the barn door without a sound, and went back to my truck. 6 months of work. 6 months of hope. And all I could hear was Tyler's voice echoing behind me. Try harder. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling fan, listening to its soft, uneven hum, and thinking about that moment, Karen grinning like it was a comedy show, Tyler kicking shut the drawer I built with my father's old chisels. I could still hear the crack of the wood. Still see the smear of Sharpie under the desk. Try harder. I didn't feel anger, not yet. Just something quiet. Cold. Like a light switch had flipped inside me. By morning, I had a plan. I skipped breakfast. Didn't even make coffee. Just walked down to the barn with a rolling dolly and 2 heavy blankets. The desk was right where they left it. A little scuffed, drawer cracked, the underside stained with ink. I didn't touch it for a few minutes. I just stood there with my jaw tight and hands clenched at my sides. Then I covered it gently, wrapped the blankets around the corners, secured the straps, and wheeled it out without a word. I loaded it into my truck and drove straight to Caleb's shop. Caleb runs a little antique place 2 towns over. Old friend of my dad's. One of the few people I trusted not to ask too many questions. Need a favor, I told him when I backed up to his loading dock. He looked at the covered desk, then back at me. Safe space. Locked backroom, I said. away from dust and eyes. He didn't ask another thing, just helped me unload it and gave me the key to the storage side. After that, I made 2 stops. First, Vincent. He's my lawyer. Quiet guy, sharp as a tack, helped me with my dad's estate years ago. I sat down in his office and laid it out, not the emotions, not the heartbreak. Just facts. Time-stamped. Precise. I want to initiate a legal and financial separation, I said. Today. Vincent nodded slowly. You want a full asset lock? Everything I brought into the marriage. The workshop, my accounts, my father's land. I want her cut off. He blinked once, then grabbed a pen. Understood. Second stop, my house. I didn't talk to Karen when I got back. Didn't mention the desk. She was in the kitchen, laughing on the phone with someone. I didn't care who. I went straight to the barn and checked the tiny cameras I'd installed 6 months ago, one tucked behind a cabinet, one under the rafter, both wired to a private cloud account. Dad taught me long ago, always document your work. That advice had saved me before. And sure enough, I had it all. Clear footage. Audio. Tyler's voice. Karen's mocking laugh. The moment he kicked the drawer. The exact words. You actually thought this would make him care? I downloaded everything. Backed it up 3 times. Stored it on a flash drive labeled proof. Then I changed the passwords on every joint account. Revoked her name from my health insurance. Removed her access to my workshop, utilities, credit line. She'd still have the house for now, but that was it. I didn't yell. I didn't make threats. I just took back what was mine. Quietly. Cleanly. Because revenge doesn't always come with shouting. Sometimes it starts with a lock, a lawyer, and a desk hidden behind a steel door. The first text came just after noon. It was Karen's Aunt Denise, the one who wore too much perfume and always asked if I was still doing that barn thing. Her message read, Mason, this isn't like you. Please don't ruin Tyler's future over a misunderstanding. He's just a boy. An hour later, Karen's cousin Jason, a junior attorney still wet behind the ears, emailed me directly. Hey Mason, I heard what's going on. Let's resolve this quietly. No need for legal action that could hurt Tyler long term. After all, it's just a desk. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded it to Vincent, who shot back a 1-line response. Already working on the restraining order draft. By sunset, my phone looked like it had been dropped into a beehive. 28 unread texts. A handful of missed calls. And 1 voicemail from Karen's mother that ended with, you need to grow up and act like the man Karen thought she married. Right. The man who stayed silent. Who built things with hope and got mocked in return. I didn't respond to any of them. But then, that night, I got a message that stopped me cold. It was from Dana, Karen's younger sister. The black sheep of the family. The one who wore combat boots to Thanksgiving and once told Karen her designer plates looked like hospital dinnerware. We barely spoke outside of holidays. Her message was short. I saw the stream before it got deleted. If you need a witness, I'm here. I stared at my screen for a full minute. Then I called her. Dana picked up on the first ring. Mason, she said. I was wondering when someone in this family would finally snap. Her tone was clipped, like she'd been waiting years for this kind of storm to hit. I've got the screen recording, she continued. I saved it before Tyler pulled it down. Also have the group chat from when he sent the link around. Karen knew. She encouraged it. They planned the reveal. I swallowed hard. You're sure? I'd bet my last student loan payment on it. She didn't even ask why I needed it. Just emailed me everything. Screenshots, texts, the full stream. She even wrote a draft statement, unprompted. I sent the whole package straight to Vincent. His reply came within the hour. Subject, update. Body. We now have enough for civil conspiracy. Starting separation filing Monday. Suggest recording any contact going forward. I leaned back in my chair, watching the text scroll across the screen. Civil conspiracy. I never thought I'd hear that term applied to my marriage. That night, Tyler sent me a text. Just one. Try anything, and I'll tell everyone you were abusive. You're done. I stared at the message for a while. Then I did what Vincent told me. I screenshot it, saved it, backed it up, and never replied. Because this wasn't about yelling or demanding apologies. This was a game now. A chessboard. And the difference between Tyler and me? He played with noise. I played with proof. Dana wasn't just bluffing. 2 days after our call, she showed up at Vincent's office with a flash drive, a folder of printed screenshots, and a look on her face like someone carrying a lit match into a room soaked in gasoline. This is everything, she said, dropping the folder on the conference table. Karen and Tyler have been talking about this for months. Vincent slid on his reading glasses and began flipping through the pages, his expression unreadable as Dana continued. They started planning around the time Mason told Karen he was restoring the desk. Tyler sent her a message that said, she reached over and flipped to a printed screenshot. If I make a big enough scene, it'll get under his skin. Maybe he'll finally snap, and she can file for neglect or something. Vincent paused, then underlined it with his pen. Another page showed a message from Karen to Tyler. The more upset he gets, the more sympathy we get when this all ends. Just act bored, roll your eyes, do your part. The rest will fall into place. I sat across from them, jaw clenched, trying not to let the shaking in my hands show. They didn't just dismiss my gift. They didn't just laugh. They tried to build a story. They wanted to provoke me, push me, then paint me as unstable, unfit. All for leverage for sympathy, for financial advantage, for whatever narrative Karen planned to pitch when she left. Vincent looked up from the documents, his tone even. We'll be filing to escalate the matter. Not just legal separation. Civil conspiracy. Possibly fraud, if any false statements were made in writing. You've got an ironclad case, Mason. I nodded, still staring at the page in front of me. Tyler's text, in black and white. I want to see what the barn guy does when he realizes no one cares. Funny thing was, I didn't feel sad anymore. I felt clear. Graduation day came a few mornings later. The sun was out, the lawn chairs were lined up in the school's courtyard, and Karen dressed like nothing had changed. Pastel skirt, pearls, and that same wide, sugary smile she always wore at public events. I didn't go, but I knew Tyler told everyone I had stolen the desk. Dana texted me afterward. He told his friends you went crazy and took the gift back out of spite. Said it was typical barn guy behavior. I let out a dry laugh and texted back, let him talk. The truth's coming. That evening, while the other parents posed for pictures with beaming kids holding diplomas, Tyler was back on social media, posting shots of himself at Applebee's with his friends, captioned, "No need for gifts when you've already won." No one asked where the desk was. No one saw the crack in the drawer, the plaque, the handmade joints and carvings I spent half a year perfecting. He just told his version. The version where I was the bitter stepdad who tried and failed to buy his love. What he didn't know, what Karen didn't know, was that their plan had been built on assumptions. They thought I'd be quiet. They thought I'd get emotional, storm out, look unstable. Instead, I got documentation. Instead, I had Dana. And instead of shouting into the wind, I gave everything to Vincent. Every text, every timestamp, every smug little comment captured in pixels. The story they wrote was about to get rewritten. In court. On record. Because they didn't just mock a desk. They tried to turn kindness into a weapon. And they were about to find out what it feels like when the target starts writing the ending. I didn't have to say a word. The town did it for me. It started small, screenshots floating around group chats, a few parents whispering about something weird on Tyler's live stream. Then the full video surfaced. Someone had saved it before Tyler deleted it. Probably one of the same classmates he thought was laughing with him. Within 24 hours, I got a call from Sharon Brenner, the school counselor. "Mason, I just wanted to reach out," she said, her voice calm but direct. "I saw the video. A few of the teachers did. We're behind you. Tyler's version of things doesn't line up. At all." I thanked her, but I wasn't surprised. I had lived in this town my whole life. Built cabinets and rocking chairs for half the people within a 20-mile radius. Folks knew who I was. Turns out, they were watching. The next blow came quietly, Tyler's summer internship. He'd landed a part-time spot at a woodworking boutique in town, run by a guy named Harold Finch. Harold called me personally. "Just wanted you to hear it from me," he said. "I saw the clip. I can't have someone like that representing my shop. I let him go this morning." I said nothing at first. "Hope I didn't overstep," Harold added, a little nervous now. "Just didn't sit right." "No," I said finally. "You did the right thing." And the thing was, I hadn't asked anyone to pick sides. But once the truth got out, once people saw Karen's grin, Tyler's cruelty, the way they made a performance out of mocking someone who had only ever tried to care, no one needed convincing. Karen tried to get ahead of it. She posted a long, syrupy note on Facebook about family being complicated and how Mason has been going through a difficult emotional time. Claimed I'd taken the desk back because I was obsessive and felt unappreciated. She painted herself as the wounded wife trying to protect her son. But the damage was done. Within hours, half a dozen parents messaged me screenshots of her post with comments like, "Saw the footage. She's lying." Or, "We know what really happened. You've got nothing to explain." Even some of Karen's own friends sent quiet apologies. One woman wrote, "I feel sick. I helped plan that graduation party. I had no idea what they were doing behind the scenes." Meanwhile, Vincent went to work. He filed formal restraining orders against both Karen and Tyler. No access to my workshop. No contact regarding the property. He also pushed for immediate legal separation with attached evidence of coordinated defamation, destruction of personal property, and intent to commit fraud by manipulating the narrative in preparation for divorce. The court gave us an emergency hearing date. "By the time we're done," Vincent said, flipping through a thick folder, "we'll have more than enough to press for full property retention and zero alimony. And depending on the judge, possible charges for malicious intent." Karen must have sensed what was coming. She stopped messaging me, stopped calling. But Tyler didn't. He kept posting online, subtweets, vague jabs, little videos with his friends smirking in the background. But fewer people were laughing. Because in a small town, character still means something. And once people see who you really are, they don't unsee it. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Pale walls, 2 rows of benches, a modest state seal above the judge's bench. Nothing dramatic, just wood, paper, and truth. Vincent arrived early, wearing his usual charcoal gray suit and that calm, shark-like composure I had come to appreciate. Karen showed up 15 minutes late, dressed like she was attending a charity gala. Pale pink blazer, pearl earrings, that practiced smile plastered on her face like none of this mattered. Tyler trailed behind her, slouching in a too-tight suit jacket, his hair perfectly disheveled in that way that screams effort. They didn't look worried. That changed fast. Karen's lawyer, some out-of-town firm suit named Reynolds, opened with a story. Mason grew emotionally distant, he said. He fixated on the desk project to an unhealthy degree. My client feared for her emotional safety. Her son's, too. This is not a case about property. It's about control and manipulation. I didn't blink. Vincent stood and waited 2 seconds before speaking. Just long enough to let the silence press against the room. Your Honor, he began, we will be presenting video evidence, authenticated messages, a first-hand witness account, and text transcripts showing deliberate emotional provocation, planned defamation, and an attempt to stage a narrative for financial gain. He handed the clerk a flash drive, another to the opposing counsel, and then nodded to the TV screen. The judge pressed play. There it was. Tyler, standing in the barn, phone in hand. Junk desk for a junk future. Kick. Crack. Then Karen, glass of wine in hand, smirking on camera. You actually thought this would make him care? No one made a sound as the clip ended. Then came the screenshots, Dana's collection. Messages between Karen and Tyler. He's putting his whole heart into this desk. Good. The more invested he is, the easier it'll be to paint him as unstable when this all ends. The judge's face changed at that one. Subtle, but definite. A tightening of the jaw. A pause in the scribbling. Then came Dana herself. She took the stand, calm, direct, unwavering. She laid it all out. How Karen talked about the plan openly. How Tyler bragged about baiting me. How the live stream wasn't a spontaneous teen prank, it was strategy. When Reynolds tried to discredit her, Dana just smiled. I have nothing to gain, she said. I'm not asking for money. I'm here because what they did was cruel. And Mason didn't deserve it. Then it was Tyler's turn. Vincent didn't go easy. Why did you live stream the moment you discovered the desk? I was joking. You were joking when you called it junk? When you kicked it? When you wrote, try harder on it? Tyler shifted in his seat. It was sarcasm. Is this your message? Vincent asked, holding up a printout. Let's make the barn guy snap. Tyler froze. Looked at his mom. Then muttered, yeah. Karen's face went flat. The courtroom was dead quiet. The judge leaned forward, steepling his fingers. So you're admitting that you conspired with your mother to provoke and discredit your stepfather in anticipation of legal proceedings? I guess, Tyler said, voice cracking. I mean, yeah. Karen stood up suddenly, whispering something to her lawyer. He tried to calm her, but it was too late. The judge had heard enough. He ruled in my favor on every count. Full ownership of all property acquired before and during the marriage. No spousal support. Restraining orders upheld. The conspiracy materials forwarded to the district attorney for possible fraud and defamation charges. Karen didn't look at me once as she gathered her things. Tyler left the courtroom first, head down, shoulders hunched like a kid who finally realized the joke was on him. Vincent shook my hand afterward. Well, he said, with the faintest smile that went about as well as it could have. I nodded, but I didn't smile. Because winning doesn't always feel like celebration. Sometimes, it just feels like finally exhaling. Karen disappeared from public life almost overnight. One day, she was hosting wine nights and posting inspirational quotes under filtered selfies, and the next, she was gone. No more photos. No more smiling brunches. Her accounts went private. Mutual friends stopped mentioning her altogether. I heard she moved in with a cousin upstate while everything blew over. It didn't. Tyler didn't stick around, either. After the ruling, word got around school fast. A few classmates had saved clips of the live stream, and despite his half-baked claims that it was taken out of context, no one bought it. His internship was gone. His college admissions counselor reached out to ask if there had been any disciplinary behavior they needed to know about. Within 2 weeks, Tyler packed up and left. Rumor was he went to live with Karen's uncle in Indiana. Somewhere quiet, out of sight. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them. I kept working. Every morning I walked into my barn and ran my hand along the edge of the workbench. The same one my father built. The same one I learned to sand and glue and mend things on. After everything, it still felt like home. One Saturday, Dana stopped by. She brought coffee and lemon muffins from the place off Main Street and said, "I figured you could use a break from lawsuits and lumber." We sat in lawn chairs just outside the barn, watching dust float through the sunlight. "You doing okay?" she asked after a while. "Yeah," I said, and I meant it. She looked at me sideways. "You sure?" I nodded. "I finally feel like I can breathe." That weekend, I pulled the desk out of storage. The drawer was still cracked where Tyler kicked it. The underside still had that sharpest stain. Try harder. But I didn't erase it. I didn't fix it. I refinished it. Sanded the top again. Smoothed the joints. Reinforced the legs. Left the scar as it was, a reminder of where it had been and what it had endured. I placed the desk in my study. Same spot where my dad's old roll top had stood for years. Same light coming in through the window. Same quiet strength. The plaque was still there. For Tyler, may you build something that lasts. I didn't remove it, because it wasn't just about Tyler anymore. It was about me. One warm evening, I took a drive with Caleb. We didn't talk much. Just cruised down the winding roads past fields of wheat and old barns sagging with time. The windows were down. The air was clear. When we hit a long stretch of open road, I looked out over the hills and felt something I hadn't in a long, long time. Peace. No more pretending. No more performing. No more building bridges for people who only brought matches. Just me. My work. My breath in my lungs and the wheel in my hands. And the quiet knowledge that I'd finally, truly let go.